Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
just 4 matters. The first relates to the newspaper articles that we looked at one of them. I know you've seen both of them. Has there been any investigation into whether any civil servants did leak that information to journalists?
I am not aware of one. If there were to be one, it is likely that it would have been led out of Cabinet Office, but I'm not aware of there having been one.
And then, second question, having regard to the figures that were being bandied about in those newspaper articles, are you able to assist us with what the main elements are of the modelling that's taking place? So what are the main elements that are being taken into account? If you're not able to answer that from your own knowledge, it may be something we can follow up in writing with an appropriate member of your department. But
more than happy to do that if it is helpful. In general terms, it'll be the sorts of things anyone would expect to go into such analysis, such as the numbers of individuals infected and affected as far as we're able to determine that, the degrees of severity, the number who may seek compensation, the scale of awards, those sorts of things, but more than happy to follow up.
Thank you. And then the last 2 questions arise out of what I asked you about specialist psychological support. When you referred to research, the research that's been undertaken being published, does that mean it will become publicly available?
I believe so. Sorry, now you asked that question, I realise I believe so, and certainly because it will be made use of in dialogue with both clinicians and with potential service users, I would certainly expect the content of that research to be publicly available.
And do you know when? I think you said August.
I believe it is in the second week of August.
Again, maybe we can follow that up with a request for the research to be provided to the inquiry. And then lastly, in relation to the question of psychological support, the issue of lack of specialist psychological report was raised by this inquiry by the chair in early 2020, obviously before you moved to the Department of Health and Social Care. My understanding is that the research that you've referred to was commissioned in 2022. Why do you know, did it take so long to get to that stage even of commissioning research? Research was obviously thought to be necessary for whatever reason that might have been, but why did it take 2 years or so to get to that stage?
So my understanding is that that there was a period of time during which options for developing and introducing such a service were considered possibly for delivery through other routes, and I think departmental officials were engaged with NHS BSA, for example, on questions about how such a service could potentially be embedded in the existing services. And I think there was a process of ongoing dialogue where it became apparent that more information was needed in order to make sure that the service that was developed properly and fully reflected the needs of potential service users. So I think there was a process that was gone through which then concluded that further research was needed.
So those are the further questions I'm proposing to ask. Do you have any questions for Ms. Dunn?
Well, it is I put it in question form, but it is really an observation. I expressed the hope in writing more than once, but particularly more recently, in public, that I hoped that in my final report I would be able to acknowledge that there was in England a bespoke psychological service to match the services doing such good work as we have been told in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. I hope I'm not going to be disappointed, but the question is, you said you would take matters back to the Minister. Will you take that back?
Of course I will, Chair.
Thank you.
So Ms Gray has no questions. Ms Dunn, is there anything that you wish to add?
I think the only thing to add, because it is the key message that I would hope to leave, is a message of confirmation that there is every effort that I am seeing on a daily basis, every effort amongst officials and ministers to bring matters to a resolution as quickly as possible. And I just want to restate that point because I feel it very strongly. So thank you.
So that concludes the evidence for today.
Well, can I thank you very much for giving us the perspective of the Second Permanent Secretary in the Department of Health and Social Security, Social Care. It's been very useful for us to listen to you and what you've been able to tell us. Can I say something more generally? Tomorrow, Ms Richards, timing?
So we're hearing from the Prime Minister at 2 o'clock.
Yes, I was going to say you didn't need to tell me who we were hearing from.
Fair enough.
But there is one particular matter which I hope you'll forgive me, because a lot of you will already know. Some of you may be checking out of your hotels tomorrow, and the checkout time, normally about 11, you may expect to bring your luggage here and leave it here. Tomorrow, for perhaps obvious security reasons, you won't be able to leave any luggage here. If it helps, you will be able to leave it at Aldwych House. That will be open to receive luggage at 10 and until shortly after perhaps 11. So if you have luggage which you want to leave somewhere, please make other arrangements if you don't want to take advantage of the Aldwych House situation. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you, those of you who wish to be here tomorrow, PM for the PM.
Thank you.